all had a club up there in the, you know where.
In a cotton field or something.
Yeah, you know where Eddie's house is up there above.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Myers' house.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the woods there. About 200 yards over there, they had old man Elsie had a field. And he rented that field out to Leon Polk. Because Elsie, that was Andy Boyd's daddy, owned that land up there. And there's on way back up in there. And people farmed that land and lived in our old yellow house, They'd come through our pasture and go way back up through there and down in a little ditch, through a little old canal, up to that field, but they had a cotton house up there. And the girls found out that place, they could go up the railroad track and turn off and go to the right and go to that cotton house, and they had them a club. And the old cotton house was empty. And they had boards in the floor that didn't nail down, they just loose and cracks and all of that up off, a little bit off the ground. So they'd go up there and they'd have them a little girl club or something. And the boys got to trying to get to see them, go up there. So several of them slipped off up there. They heard they was going to go that afternoon after we got out of school. And the boys slipped off up there that early and crawled under that house, under that bed. That cotton house. It's high enough. They got under there and the girls, some other boy tipped the girls off.
So the girls knew the boys were under there.
So they got their girls, they all got there and they're talking and they're going on and all that. And one of them said, I got to pee. She went back there and the crack, the whole peed in his face.
Good.
Kitty Barnes told me that right there where Tidwell is, there used to be a big old oak tree and there was a sidewalk back when there was a town there at Oakville. There was a sidewalk and Darnell Polk, which she was a good friend.
She was in there, in that barn.
She was a good friend of Georgia Fay and Kitty Barnes. Anyway, she said Darnell got her some skates, some roller skates, and said she'd go up and down that sidewalk, and she said, I was so jealous of her. Said one day I climbed up in that oak tree.
Magnolia tree, I think.
It was that big old oak tree, I think, there in front of Tidwell. She said she was skating on them pretty little skates back and forth and back and forth. She said, I'd climbed up in that tree and said she came over on that tree and said I peed on her.
Who did that?
Kitty Barnes.
I guess having skates was something special, huh?
Yeah, not many people have skates.
But the funny thing, Ellick Polk finally got to be the postmaster, but he had that. Darnell was the only one of the kid didn't have them, and anyway, the politicians would come around, and he'd give people, men, a Coke, buy them a Coke, and he'd give little girls, little boys, he'd give them a piece of candy and all that. Said one time, Ellick was there at the store, at old J. Hathorne's store, where the firehouse is now, it burned. But anyway, they give Ellick, the post, Darnell, little candy. And Ellick says, Doris, now you be nice. What you gonna tell him? She says, charge it. She said everything they went in that store and bought, they had to charge it.
So many a time I remember waking up in the morning, there'd be Darnell spent the night with Georgia Fay. They'd been off on a date or something, and she'd be down there. There used to be a picture of Darnell in her gown and Tommy, a little boy, somebody took a picture of Darnell squatting down by Tommy out there in the front yard.
Tommy Darnell married a Peterson boy from up north somewhere or other, which she found he was in the Navy.
How did Tommy get with Rose? Because Rose lived somewhere else.
She lived in Columbia, and Tommy went to work for the REA.
In Columbia, and somehow
she was a cheerleader.
And you know what the story is, and I don't know, I don't think Martha made
You better
it
turn
up.
that thing off. You got it recording, I know.
Yeah, I'm not turning nothing off. I'm not gonna play it for nobody.
Martha James always said that Rose tricked Tommy in marrying her.
Thinking she was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
5 years before she...
That's exactly what Martha said. I don't know. Maybe Tommy told Martha that.
Anyway.
But you know, Lena told me that Tommy had a reputation down in the weekends. He was a ladies' man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I bet he's not anymore. That's done past.
I don't know. Maybe he thinks he is.
That time is over.
But that was another thing that happened down in Oakville. They closed they fired the coach. They won state one year in basketball. The boys did, and the girls went way up. But the principal, the superintendent, didn't like the coach. He's getting more
attention. Mm-hmm.
So he just had them to fire the coach. Well, boy, the people didn't like that. The boys didn't like it. And this was in like 37. They just had a brand new school built. So they went and locked it down. It was supposed to start in September early. And they couldn't get in.
Who locked it down?
The boys. And some of the men helped them.
Because they were mad about the coach getting fired.
Anyway, my granddaddy's brother was the sheriff in Lawrence County. And they kept that thing locked to keep us out of school. That's the first year I started school. We didn't get to go to school for about 2 weeks because they had it locked.
Who was the sheriff?
Willard Bourne. My granddaddy's youngest brother. Anyway, they locked it down, and then when he told them, sent the word over there that he was coming over there, and they sent word before, then he would be there on a certain day, and if it was not open, every one of them would be locked up. And grown men was carrying them food up there, things like that, you see, to keep them in.
I had a sit-in, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, so they left. They got out before the sheriff, but they still got their names and put them under, what do you call it when they can't go out at night?
Citizen arrest.
Huh?
They were in
Quarantine, not
They couldn't get out after 8 o'clock at night without the parents being with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, the girls down at Hathorne come to school up there, and them boys was all like, I think the one's older than Georgia Faye, wasn't she? Older girls, and a lot of them. Anyway, the boys got on, and they had the train had parked the camp cars there, and they go home. The camp cars they had them sleeping quarters and cooks and all of that, and they was there working and had that thing there, and they went and got stole the motor car off of that thing. They had all the workers had gone home for the weekend. It's on Saturday. They leave it Saturday at noon. So all them boys, not all of them, several boys got these motor cars off of the cart, off of the flatbeds car, and got on the tracks and went to Hathorne, about 3 or 4 miles down the track. And my uncle, Wilford, and Guy Hathorne, Midget's older brother, they were older men. They was 4 or 5 years older. They got word about it. So them boys got down that railroad track, and the girls met the girls in Hathorne. And then when they started back, Wilford and Guy had went down the railroad track toward Hathorne and posted themselves on each side of the track. And them boys were supposed to be quarantined, couldn't leave.
What is that? It's not quarantine.
House arrest or
No.
probation.
No, not that.
When they had to be in a certain time, you had.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't have.
Anyway, they had loaded shotguns. They went on each side of the tracks.
Oh no.
And here comes them boys back down the track. Got on down there pretty close, and they thought this, and they knew they wasn't supposed to be out, because that was Uncle Willard had already told them if we catch you out, you're going to jail. So they were real quiet, and they got down there a little ways by the old cotton gin down the track toward Hathorne, and them boys had done shut the motor off. They'd pushing. And so they jumped out to the shot. One on one said, "Oh, this is the law. Don't move. You understand?" And boy, they started bailing out, running everywhere. And anyway, they shot
Curfew.
Curfew.
Yeah.
They shot the shotguns, blasted them. Them boys just like ghosts, might say, running. Finally, they found out who was done it. Bill Williamson, Elbert Bryant, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them old boys, Lawrence's, I guess, some of them was there. They got them all back together, and they found out it was Wilford's guy doing it, and the curfew wasn't going to bother them. That didn't scare me,